All right, Robert, we are live. We are live. I believe we are live. We're live on YouTube. Let me check. Let me Facebook because Facebook has been just limiting things to. Oh, it's public. How do you like that? All right, Facebook's live. How's it going, Robert? Welcome to Massive Iron Live on Friday, September 25th, my mom's birthday. You didn't
Oh,
even get
happy
her.
birthday. Happy birthday to your mom, Steve. Man, this is the highlight of my week. And, you and I usually talk multiple times a day, if not multiple. I guess, yeah, we usually text at least once a day, either you and me or you, me, and Alan. And even with that, I look forward to our lives every single Friday. It's the highlight of my week.
Yeah, one of the crazy things, one of the fun things about my day is that I have a secret enclave with Robert and Alan Roberts, and we generally talk about non-fitness supplement related stuff. So,
Yeah.
for you guys tuning in, let's get the nonsense out of the way first. Um, we usually are on for about 2 hours. Feel free to post your questions on diet, training, nutrition, supplementation, and off topic. We don't mind off topic stuff. If we miss your question, understand that YouTube is kind of glitchy. So if we miss your question, we're not avoiding you. Just repost your question. We'll get to everything. Let us know how you guys are doing, how things are going in your area. I know the UK is tightening up a little bit. I saw in the news yesterday that some of the Western states they were trying to do the fear thing. COVID cases are rising. Not sure if anybody's trying to shut down gyms or whatever, but let us know how you guys are doing. And before we get started, the question always is, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who is this guy, Robert?
My name is Robert Shinetsky, the supplement engineer on Instagram. I'm a writer in the fitness nutrition supplement area, a formulator, research and development, ingredient nerd, former mechanical engineer in my previous life before jumping into the crazy world that we know as fitness and nutrition. And yeah, that's basically everything in a nutshell. Diehard LSU fan, go Tigers. Bourbon aficionado, and all good things like that.
Well, Robert is very modest. Robert's one of the smartest guys in the industry with regards to supplements. So, if you have a supplement question, you need to ask it during this 2 hours because you're going to get the best possible information. Robert does a live video every Wednesday, and I tuned in this weekend from my run, but my questions weren't showing up, or Robert was avoiding me. But
No, I even mentioned that because I know we have the issue every Friday on this, and I said that at the beginning of the video. I said, "Hey, keep posting. We're not avoiding anything." So that's weird.
yeah, it's funny. I posted two messages right out of the gate on your live video, and you didn't see it. So you can find Robert on Instagram at the Supplement Engineer, on YouTube, the Supplement Engineer, a Supplement Engineer podcast. That thing's as hot as a scalded dog. So check that out. Just great information. So. See, I don't really exercise. You see that right there, Robert?
Oh yeah, you got
Yeah,
the
yeah,
sweat deposits going on there.
It's funny behind the scenes. We'll get rolling here in a second, guys. But behind the scenes, when you run a YouTube channel, even a modest one my size, you get like you're fat, you're weak, you're out of shape, you have no endurance. It's like I lost 100 pounds. I did a dramatic body transformation. I nearly set the all-time world record in over 50 powerlifting. I ran 100 kilometers. What more do you fuckers want, really? So anyway,
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting behind the scenes. Let's get rolling. And for you people watching, please introduce yourself and post your questions. We'd like to get to know you guys better. Aniket, hello, good morning. Lee Harris, what's your take on intensity versus volume? I'm going to have a little bit of a say, then we'll tickle Robert's ovaries a little bit with this. Volume, intensity, and frequency are 3 points on a triangle. If you look at the triangle, and I'm not sure if you can see my little hands, you got a little triangle here. There's a center point that balances that triangle. You have to, if you add volume, you have to reduce intensity or frequency. If you add frequency, you have to reduce volume or intensity. What does that mean? Well, if you're on a bro split doing that's a day for chest, if you increase the frequency, you can't do 15 sets a day, 3 times a week. You could probably survive it, but it's not going to be worth it, and it's not going to provide you any extra value. So intensity and volume, you can't mix it. If you're going to go super heavy, weight above 85%, you got to reduce the volume. That's not opinion. That's, you look at every powerlifting program that has ever existed. Robert?
You need both. It's not an either or situation. You need both. And some people prefer to train with more volume. Some people prefer to train more of like the Dorian Yates style, Mike Mincer, like all out, balls out, one super hard set. But I mean, obviously you have warm up sets into that. But I mean, you can it's your boy Jeff on Athlete X says it. He said you can either go long, which in this case would be you can do more volume, or you can go hard, which would be intensity. So you need both. Find the right balance. Some exercises lend themselves to performing a higher amount of volume, whereas others lend themselves to more intensity. So, the quintessential example here would be something like a deadlift. You don't want to do 15 reps on deadlifts, but you could do 15 reps on rows, on pull-ups, on bicep curls, push-ups, things like that. So suit the volume and intensity to the exercise that you're performing, but you need both to get results. That's without question.
Yeah, what Robert says, I mean, a lot of the discussions on rep ranges and volume and intensity, what we need to establish first is the reality that every exercise is different. A lot of times we try to label every exercise as the same. They are not. Even with compound movements, you can take a bench to failure with relative ease. You can do a lot of low rep training on bench. Generally a lot easier. It's more forgiving than doing this similar work on squats or deadlifts. So people ask about volume, and they ask about intensity, rep range. Do a wide variety. If you look at nearly every reasonable workout that's ever existed, you do your compounds, and then your less impactful, heavier exercises, and then your isolation exercises, body weight. There's this progression from really heavy balls out to lighter, less intense work. So basically along that scale, you want to have a sliding scale of reps where it makes sense to do, a little bit more heavy, intense work, and then to do more rep work. So get a good mix of everything, right? A good mix of everything. It's just like women. If you're a single man out there, you want to date a blonde, you want to date a brunette, you want to mix it up a little bit to see what you want. Something, I don't know. What am I even talking about? It's Friday.
I don't know. It's been so long since I've been single. I wouldn't even know where to start or how to get a date.
Being single is like one of the worst things you can be, in my opinion. Whoops, that's me right there. All right. Hello, guys. How's it going? All right. Frank Fitness. Thoughts on Zwift as a piece of home CV equipment, cardiovascular equipment? Have you guys had experience with it? What is that? I thought that was Suzuki Swift. What's a Zwift, Robert?
Zwift is like it's like a Peloton. It's another home cycling thing.
I'm going to try to pull it up. So,
yeah, I've got it. You want me to share my screen, or are you going to do it?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Should we get her to rock and roll? We're going to look at a Zwift with a capital Z or Z, as the Australians say.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah, as soon as I get it pulled up. Okay. There you go. And you should be able to just select it from the bottom of the StreamYard screen, Steve.
All right. I'm going to remove the thing, and I'm going to do the thing here. So there's the what's the deal? It looks like a cycle.
Yeah, it's this thing, and it looks like a Peloton. You're cycling along with video. So I guess this is more of like a video game kind of thing, a simulation instead of a real-time thing like the Peloton is.
Yeah. What's my opinion on it? Looks expensive. And number two, I'd rather have you be outdoors. That's
exactly what I was going to say.
Those are my only two opinions. Is it a good piece of equipment? Looks great. Looks wonderful. It's probably really good for the winter months when you can't get outside. But look, at the end of the day, get your booty on a day, get outside and get some sun and fresh air.
Yeah, especially for $1,200.
Yeah, I don't know.
Damn.
When you're trapped indoors, look, I got two. We just bought two ellipticals, so I'm not one to talk. But when it comes to this sort of thing, I'd rather see you get outside and just keep that. Yeah, keep it around for the winter months.
Yep.
But in general, when we talk about cardio, a lot of people ask cardio questions like, "What form of cardio should I do?" Do the form of cardio you enjoy. Do the form of cardio you like. Do something you look forward to. If you don't look forward to it, why are you doing it? I don't care if you're doing bowling, extreme acts of sexual activity, chasing chickens around your yard like Rocky Balboa, whatever. I don't care. Do whatever you like. Don't overthink fitness. Have fun. Favorite adult beverage. Finally, a question. Finally, a question that Robert and I can get super excited about. Not that we're not excited about your regular questions, but Robert, what's your favorite adult beverage?
Oh man, I don't even think it's close anymore. I would used to say, well, during certain months of the year, I'm more of a beer guy. During other months, I'm more of a liquor guy. Now it's bourbon. Bourbon is my favorite adult beverage, and I would prefer to drink it maybe just over one of the big rocks, or neat is fine, or make a really good old fashioned, because basically an old fashioned is just a little spoonful of water, one sugar cube, 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, 2 dashes of I do a complex of 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, 2 dashes of Peychaud's bitters, 2 ounces of a really good quality bourbon, something 90 proof or higher. I typically tend to go towards the 100 proof bourbons like Knob Creek, the Bottled and Bond Evan Williams, Noah's Mill is a really good one. That's 114 proof. Old Forester is another good one. Old Grandad 114 is 114 proof. That's a really solid one for making old fashions. But yeah, there are so many wonderful bourbons on the market. They run the gamut from really inexpensive, affordable ones that still taste good, all the way up to like the overpriced ones that could be just as good as more of the budget bourbons, as we could call them.
All right, so I'm just pulling up some images, and I'm going to show you a little bit of what the Big Hairy Ugly Dude drinks. All right, here we go.
And when you and I were together in Ohio a couple of years ago, Steve, we had quite a few Russian Imperial stouts, and so those dark beers are my second favorite, but bourbon is my number one adult beverage.
So dark beers, there's a local beer from Warp Wing called Whiskey Rebellion, and I've tried them all. I've tried every dark beer, and it's very, you see a lot of beers in bourbon barrels. This is the bomb. I mean, this is the king. I actually bought, this is hard to find. It's limited run. I bought a case of this for like $120, and it's like a treat having it once every 2 weeks. It's that good, and it's that worth it. Now, you buy it, it's like $9.99 a bottle. Now, when I go IPA, this is the bomb right here. Dogfish Head 120-minute IPA. It's 18%. It's $9.99 to $12.99 a bottle. You buy it in a 4-pack, very rare.
Damn.
But this is the king. It's got flavor. It's got this orange neon glow to it. It's just spectacular in every way. And people are like, I ain't paying $12 for a beer. This beer is like the equivalent of 4 to 5 Buzz Lightyears or whatever you're drinking. Plus you get some good flavor. So that's my beer. And when it comes to whiskey, this is mine right now. Whistle Pig 12-year rye whiskey.
Damn, you don't screw around, Steve. You go for the $130 bottle.
Well, I get a lot of cheap $10, $12 IPAs, let me tell you. I mean, when it comes to 6-packs, I play the field. But, these are my go-tos, my once-a-weekers. I bought this bottle of Whistle Pig, a year ago, and I still got half the bottle left. So, I'm just kind of slow dancing with it. So that's my favorite. And
while we're on the subject of alcohol, Steve, you're somebody that has written millions upon millions of words in your time in the industry. Did you ever, or do you still to this day need to turn to some adult beverages every now and then as a sort of mental lubricant to kind of depress? Because you and I are both very analytical, very, very cerebral individuals that think about a lot of shit during the day. Right. Do you ever need to take a nip of something to kind of suppress the conscious part of your brain and let the creative juices kind of flowing? Because I find I need that.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes For me, no, I mean, for me, the thing I need most of all right now to get the creative juices flowing is peace and disconnect. I get to run. I get to go run hour and a half, 2 hours a day, and for me, that's kind of a disconnect where I'm in my own world and nobody can violate it, and I get ideas, and
Mhm.
I'm transcribing on my phone, and that's kind of for me. But alcohol, yeah, man. I mean, look, my I love my life. I never intended to start doing YouTube and be where I am now, and it's a huge blessing. People think a channel my size is small. It earns me a good living. I get to work for myself. I get to help people for a living. Um, but with that, every year it gets more and more intense. Like you check your Instagram DMs, and there's like 12 a day, 15 a day, which doesn't seem like a lot, but you got to catch up. YouTube comments, hundreds a day. Facebook messages, hundreds a day. Or not hundreds, dozens a day on Facebook. People hunt me down on email. People hunt me down in every possible way, and it adds up to like probably a couple hundred communications a day. Everywhere you turn, from all angles, people are trying to plug into you and ask you questions and suck from your brain. So, when it comes to alcohol, sometimes just to disconnect and have a cigar and a drink and get away from that phone. Yeah, you need a little bit of that padding sometimes to get the creative juices going. You just got to make sure you don't go full Stephen King. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you're going to go full Stephen King and write The Shining while drunk as fuck, I mean, then just retire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I need that if I'm doing something super like research heavy, like if I'm doing like a really in-depth ingredient analysis or something. I don't want. I mean, I'm perfectly fine locked in or having a cup of coffee or just sitting up doing it first thing in the morning. But when I have to do like product or ad copy for supplement websites for some of the clients, I feel like I need to unplug some of the conscious part of my brain just to kind of either get in like that bro mindset or just some other kind of mindset that is not the overly analytical mindset that I have by nature.
Right. No, I understand completely. There's a difference in you've been a writer for a while, and I've been a writer forever now. It seems like there's a difference for me in writing fiction and writing fun pieces. And there's a difference in writing workouts. I have to have a structure and a reason. And then I've done in-depth articles on tea tree oil and just stuff like that. And that stuff you need to be totally dialed in and research, and it can just melt your brain. So,
Yep.
all right, what do we got here? Keep the questions coming, guys. We'll be on forever. We're never gonna stop. Pork meat. Do you think I should bother trying to address imbalances? One rep? No, don't. That'll never pan out, dude. I mean, that'll never pan out. You can fight all you want, but generally, I've been lifting for 35 years. Imbalances never go away. I don't care what anybody says. If they do go away, you're lucky. It's a miracle. One side's always going to be stronger than the other. It'll become less noticeable. As you let's say let's think in terms of like a fantasy RPG. You start out and your right side is a 10 strength and your left side's a 5 strength, and then you add 100 to both of them. All of a sudden you got 110 and 105. So as you add strength, there's still a difference, but it becomes less and less noticeable. Don't try to do circus act stuff. Use a good variety of barbells and dumbbells and maybe some machines and body weight exercises, unilateral exercise, and get strong on them all. Anything to add, Robert?
No, I mean, if you've got a severe discrepancy, yeah, definitely work with that. But if you got like a minor one, yeah, I mean, my left leg is always weaker than my right. All I do is make sure I just match reps. So, or I'll lead off the exercise. If I'm doing a unilateral thing like a Bulgarian split squat, I'll do my left side first since it's freshest, and then make just the match with the right side, even though I know I could do 1 or 2 more reps with the right side most likely. Or the other way is to just force the left leg to stop being a little bitch and, rep out as many as I can with the right leg and then just, rest pause my way until I match that reps with my left leg. That's the way I usually go about it.
Yeah, when on dumbbell rows, I'm kind of known for my ridiculous dumbbell rowing strength. probably more than anything. And, I always work my left arm first because dumbbell rows are like cardio. They really zap you. And I like
Yeah.
to do my weakest arm first when I'm doing unilateral stuff, if that makes sense. But personal preference.
Yeah. What I've noticed is that I start off with my back workouts with pull-ups. And so I'll do that, and I can tell that I'm pulling more with my right side because after that I'll go on to dumbbell rows, and my left side is so much stronger than my right side when I'm right-handed, so I'm right side dominant. But that's because my right side tends to dominate during the pull-ups. I can bang out so many more reps, or I guess have less fatigue banging out the same number of reps with my left side on one-arm dumbbell rows.
Robert, I got to tell you right now, something's really bothering me, and I need to get this off my chest.
Uh-oh.
Behind you, you have a doorway that is not squared off. It is, it's very Western. It's very, you have that circular. It's like, who builds shit like that? I mean,
I don't know. We did this house. This house was, I think, 10 years old when we bought it at the end of 2018. So
look, I lived in New Mexico. I totally get it. Right? I totally get it. But somewhere along the line, there was a king or dictator that says, I would like my entrances to be like this. And the dude's like, can't we just square shit off? I mean, seriously, it's a lot easier.
Do you want me to give you the tour of the rest of the house and you can critique the rest of my my humble living accommodations?
No, that's okay. We're good for now. By the way, before we continue, if anybody thinks I'm crying or weeping or whatever, sinuses, man, sinuses. We got the weather change going on the last 2 weeks, and it's getting cool, and I feel like my nose is just a faucet. So, greetings from the Isle of Wight. How's it going, Robert? I'm not going to tell anybody, but next May I'm going to be in Wales for 2 weeks. We're going to go run Wales.
Outstanding.
I was going to try to get into the London Marathon, but I'm a little too late. So, Obese fam, I've been using regular lifting straps, but I'm now considering Versa grips you recommended. Are they better, more comfortable? What's the difference? Hold on one second. I'm going to pull these up so people have some frame of reference of what they are. Over on my handy dandy little website, share screen. Okay, I'm going to get this out of here. We're talking about Versa grips. And you go over to my website, you see the store, you see Miss. Click that again, boom. And you can buy this sexy coffee mug if you'd like. But over here are Versa grips. So the question was regular lifting straps. Lifting straps are a lot more difficult to lock in than the Versa grips. Versa grips are far more sturdy. I've ripped so many straps, regular lifting straps over the years. It's ridiculous. These I paid like $55 for 12 years ago, and mine are still going strong. They are worth it. Easier to lock in, better for elbow tendonitis, more durable. I don't pimp very many products, but this is definitely a product you need to get in your gym bag stat. So, Robert, do you own a pair, or have you not on that bus yet?
Nope, I have not tried Versa grips as of yet. Although the more that you sing their praises, I've heard you sing their praises a lot. Dr. Mike has talked about a lot about them, as have a number of other top tier fitness buffs. So I'm kind of I want to get those and maybe some like the Angle 90 things. Have you seen those? It's a different way. So it allows the your arms to naturally rotate and things like that. It's basically like if you had rings or some kind of suspension trainer. But if you had like any kind of straight bar, or if you're doing a T-bar row or like a barbell row or a lat pull down or something, instead of your hands being fixed into a bar, you put these little hoop straps and they go right in your palm right there, so your hand can naturally rotate and find the best thing for shoulder, wrist, joint, elbow health.
Kind of like using dumbbells, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. So yeah, Obese. Look, there's probably a handful of products that I strongly recommend, but actually there's one I strongly recommend, and it's this. Every lifter that I talk to, I'm like, get this, get these. These will save you elbow tendonitis. They're super easy to lock in. Get the pros. They're a little bit longer. That just allows a little bit more ease. because all of you watching are fatties and you have these big fat sausage fingers, so you need the pros. That's just human. All right. Siobhan Mason, what's up? What's going on? Ben on Adventures. Hey, Friday crew, just finished upper day. Barbell overhead press 4x8, dumbbell row 4x6, etc. Looks like a good session. Frank Fitness, have you guys watched The Boys on Amazon Prime? After all the cuties thing, I'm kind of scared to watch anything called The Boys. Is that the superhero thing? Is it?
Yeah, I don't know anything about it though. I haven't seen it.
I've been teased by a little bit, but have not watched it. Is that on Prime or is that on Netflix?
It's Prime.
Okay, because we dumped Netflix, and I was tempted last night to look at Netflix new releases, but I didn't bother. So, 7K. I'll see that bet and raise you 1,000. Sebastian, close versus wide grip bench on upper chest. Close grip is going to be better for your triceps because it's more lockout. Wide grip bench is going to be more of a focus on your chest. It depends on how wide you're talking wide because, a lot of people's wide grip bench is my normal bench press. So targeting upper chest, I don't like discussions about targeting upper chest much, but I would say you need to have a well-rounded program. You need to have a lot of focus on your overhead pressing, a lot of focus on bench variations, and then maybe if you want to throw an incline bench variation in there as well. Robert, I've not seen any really good research ever in my life that shows one exercise is better or noticeably better for upper chest than just a well-rounded program. Do you have any thoughts on that?
They've got some EMG data showing different, higher peak activation in the upper pec versus the clavicular head versus the sternocostal head. But, EMG's data's just, they're not always correlative with hypertrophy. So while you may be showing higher activation in a certain region, it doesn't always mean there's max muscle growth or most tension is being placed in that. It's just where the electrical currents are picking up the most activity. So, like you said, use a mix, use some incline, use some flat, use some cable crossovers.
You could, I'm sure you could angle cable crossovers in a specific way to get the most superior activation in the upper chest of all the exercises. But does that mean it's necessarily best for hypertrophy? Best for hypertrophy is a well-rounded program and building a lot more strength.
Yeah, they did a study. I think Schoenfeld ran the study on, it was either subjects did like 10 or 15 sets of squats only per week, and then the other group did a mixture of squats, leg presses, and lunges, and I think deadlifts as well. And the group that did the variety of exercises had greater lower body hypertrophy than purely the group that only did squats.
And curiously enough, all of my programs contain squats, leg presses, lunges, and deadlifts, so all of you can suck it. Sorry, just being a smart ass. That's true, though. Nearly every program I put together has those exercises. So I was well ahead of my time, kids. So I can die in peace right now. Let's see. Iman O'Malley, UK is getting more locked down. Gym's still open for me right now. Glad to hear that. Yeah, I mean, I got a couple clients, and I can't really figure out what the UK is doing because one client is locked out of his gym. I think that's a personal gym decision, and another one is not. Orion XS, if you're getting stronger, does that mean you're building muscle? Yes. Sound obvious, but I've seen smaller guys stronger than bigger ones. I mean, these discussions get a little bit fishy. You have like when you're talking about strength. Look, I've trained with some smaller bodybuilders, but they still have relatively big arms. They still have relatively big muscle size. The biggest change in hypertrophy for people is going to be going from those late beginner strength levels to those quality strength levels. What do I mean? You're a novice. You go into the gym. You do 25-pound dumbbell bench presses. You progress to 50s, 55s, you don't see a lot of hypertrophy in general. When you go from 55s to 120s, though, that's the meat and potato of the muscle building realm, and that's just one example. So you could see a smaller guy knocking out 65s on dumbbell bench, and he's smaller, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have a long way to go. That doesn't mean he's some genetic fluke. He could have brought up his muscles. He could have added 5 pounds to his frame. You get stronger over time. You're going to get bigger, especially in what I just talked about. You get your deadlift from 135 to 315. Okay. You got some okay hypertrophy gains. You get your deadlift from 315 to 500. That's the bread and butter of muscle building, in my opinion. So in my opinion, you got 2 stages, and I'm going to super simplify this. You have your newbie stage, where you're getting some newbie gains and you're progressing rapidly. And then you have the dive in and grind stage, where you go from 70-pound dumbbell rows to 150. You go from 50-pound overhead presses to 100s. Look at guys like Alan Roberts. The guys that really get freaky McBeefy are the guys that really do the second stage. Robert, anything to add?
No. One thing I would question you. So you and Alan at both points, y'all are both very, I would say, muscled individuals, and you both at one point were very overweight, to where y'all probably each undertook one of those like really dirty, heavy bulks at some point in your life, either one or more times. Do you think that's necessary to maximize your potential muscle growth as a natural?
This is a question. It's a good question. It's something I struggle with every day, and something I try to get my clients not to do. I try to get them to think long-term in health. But with that said, if I am working with a group of 18-year-old men that weigh 155, like I did and I get to train them, right? I get to be in the pit with them and know how they're training. I would rather have them eat like a freak, like Andre the Giant, because there's some guys that gain 40, 50, 60 pounds a year. That's ridiculous, right? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I went from, I believe, 152 when I entered college. I never touched a barbell. After 18 months of training, my squat was 315. My bench was 225 for reps. I was doing weighted dips, weighted pull-ups, the whole spiel. And my muscle size was out of this world. I left at 185. I gained 33 pounds in 18 months. And my mentor was asking me if I took steroids. And I'm pretty sure Alan's probably been along the same path. The caveat here, Robert, is if they're training properly. Because there's a lot of guys that do dirty bulks, that do aggressive bulks, but they don't get anything out of it because they're not training properly. And honestly, 99% of people don't train like the level that me and Alan train. That's reality. I'm sorry, but it's reality. I know one when I see one. It's like seeing a pink elephant. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
So if I'm coaching somebody and they're like a Lamborghini, I'm gonna be like, strap on the feed bag. But by that, I'm only moving them from trying to gain 12 pounds a year to 18 pounds a year. So I'm still not trying not to get them fat.
Okay.
Woodulus from Scotland. Greetings from Scotland, Robert. Let's see if we can get this on here. This is actually from Scotland. Real leather from Scotland. Okay.
There we go.
And the Shaw clan. All right.
Hot damn.
Yeah. All right. Robert, when's your joint supplement coming out? Robert just tickled my ovaries about this morning.
I did. Flavoring is being done right now at the contract manufacturer's place. We've got the ingredient panel all lined up. We've got the supplier that we're going to go with for all the materials checked out. Now we're waiting on flavoring to see how horrendously difficult it's going to be to flavor, because there are a shit ton of bioactives in here and they're not very easy to flavor at all. So once we get flavoring finalized, then it'll be probably 6-7 weeks for production run, and then it'll start shipping then.
All right, thanks, Robert. What do we got here? Steve Delmaro, opinions on Dimetized whey protein powder.
They have been around a very long time, have a very good track record in the industry, have a clean reputation. Post Cereal bought them a couple of years ago. Maybe it's 2 years ago now. So all the things like Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles, they are all now have started releasing official flavor collaborations through the Dimetized line of protein powders. Typically, you'll see companies say like Fruity Cereal or Coke or Chocolate Rocks or something like that, some off-brand. But Dimetized, since they're owned by the parent company of Post now they can do it with the official flavor. So the official flavoring technology used to make Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles, all that is actually inserted into the Dimetized protein powder. But beyond that, Dimetized has a very extensive range of protein powders. They're really good. They're based out of Dallas, Texas, I believe, which is only a few hours up the road from me. And I've used a couple of their different flavors over the years. Their chocolate cake batter of their regular whey protein is really solid. I like that for a chocolate protein. So they're widely available, good quality, and there's other flavors on the market, other ones that taste just as good, if not better. But you're not going to go wrong using Dimetized.
Thanks, Robert. Appreciate it. Now, here's a good one. Fargo, North Dakota is trying to make masks mandatory. You're so close. How far is Fargo away from Minneapolis? I would just encourage Fargo to invade Minneapolis and take over and annex the city and bring it back to, some form of sanity. I've been through Fargo once. I stayed in Fargo once, a long time ago, probably 1995, 96, 95.
3.5 hours, Steve.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It's been such a long time since I made that road trip. Fargo is trying to make masks mandatory. I can't imagine that's going to go over well with the rural community. So may the force be with ye. Dwight, you ran 100 kilometers. How long did you prepare before going for it? I ran 100 kilometers for my 52nd birthday last October. And how long did I prepare for it? 6-7 months. But I was running 10 hours a week for 10 hours a week forever. So Dwight, how much was your max run before the 100 kilometers? Actually, Dwight, to backtrack, 2 years ago I entered a trail marathon, and this is all trail running. It's not the pavement running. With only a month's worth of training. My previous longest distance run before that was 2 miles. And I actually somehow pulled off a trail marathon. That was 2 years ago. Then we quit during the winter because it seemed stupid to run during the winter. So we picked it up like March of last year. And I entered a lot of races. In June, I ran a 10 miler. In July, I attempted another trail marathon. I failed because I was trying to get 50K at that race. Then I went out 2 more times in 2 more races last July. I failed my second attempt at 50K because it ran out of time and the course was incredibly slow, like a roller coaster. And then I went out the last week of July and hit 50K. And I entered a bunch of races since then. Last year I ran like 6 marathons, 3 50Ks, and 100Ks. So I really pushed my body to see what my body was capable of. So the most I ran previously to 100K was 3 or 4 50K attempts. Pork meat. Here in Munich, they added a few more COVID limitations for a week, but not much. But a lot of politicians started fear-mongering, saying it'll get worse. It's the sky is falling. The sky is falling. Yep, I don't know. So I'm over the sky's falling. The reality is business is falling. And I'm not diminishing COVID, but there's far worse damage going on. We need better solutions. Would that be fair, Robert? We need better solutions. Something like 8 out of 9 restaurants in New York City didn't pay their rent or couldn't pay their rent in August. That's something that needs to be addressed. And I think you can have solutions on the COVID side and you can have solutions on the restaurant side, and there's better ways to mesh that. Would that be a fair statement, Robert?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yes. All right. Robert's over to taking a nap. I'm just kidding. How would I change from
No, I just don't want to get too riled up about all the bullshit about COVID. There we go. I said my piece.
Everybody's saturated, so we're sorry. Now I change from a bro split to a push-pull leg split. Would I benefit? A push-pull leg split basically is a bro split. It's basically a bro split that you're doing multiple times a week. It's more like an Arnold type of split. Don't worry about this. Would you benefit? Stay focused. Look, stay focused on the basics. A good exercise selection, a reasonable amount of volume, a progression approach, and consistency. And if you do that, that's where you would benefit the most. As far as programming, a push-pull legs can have a lot of value, and it involves a little bit of frequency. I do not like training 5 days a week, so I encourage people on push-pull leg splits to rotate, use a flex schedule. Rotate between push-pull legs, but do it 4 times a week. Maybe 5 max, but you got to be making sure those workouts count. Anything to add, Robert?
Nope. You crush that one, Steve.
All right, David Argentino. That name threw me off. Hey, everybody, I finished reading Massive Iron. Great book. Thank you, sir. I was wondering why the rep goal is total over reps per set. Why the rep goal is total over reps per set goals. Also, is there a safe way to test 1 rep max by myself? Are you saying not just set a rep goal for every set? I mean, that gets tedious. You got to monitor 3 different variables, right? And I assume this is the question. So if you were doing 3 different, like let's say you put 225 on the bench, your first set you get 10, your second set you get 7, your third set you get 5. Okay. If you want to auto-regulate each one of those sets and say on the first, stop licking your ass. My dog's licking its ass right behind me. Go take a vacation, pal. If you want like 225, if you want to say when I get to 12 reps on the first set, I'm going to add 5 pounds. When I get to 12 reps on the second rep, I'm going to add 5 pounds. When I get to 12 reps on the third set, I'm going to add 5 pounds. You can do that, but it's basically going to be the same thing. It's going to be the same thing because the first set is going to be the driver. It's always going to be like 12, 9, 7, or 10, 8, 6, or something. There's going to be a decay. So you can try to auto-regulate all 3, but at the end of the day, it's going to be the same as pushing 3 sets to the limit and letting the total rep goal be the auto-regulator. It's the same thing. It's just 2 different ways. Does that make any sense, Robert?
Yeah.
It's a lot of
perfect sense to me.
Dwight, you ran. Okay, yeah, we got that before. Any reason to train calves? You kind of want to raise them into strong bulls, Robert.
I mean, is there any reason to train your biceps? Is there any reason to train your rear delts? We're not going to ignore all the small muscle groups. Just because calves are a bitch for most people to grow doesn't mean is an excuse to not train them. If you're in fitness and lifting for the long term, you should, like Steve says, try to make every muscle group as big and as strong as possible.
I've been rethinking. I've been doing some research lately in the calf training, especially this week, believe it or not, because I have a client from Germany who has long calves, and because they're long, or set high and long, it tends to make them look small. So, he's working at home, and I've been focusing on some of the research. Some of the people that have had success with training or improving calf size have been really focusing on time under tension and tempo and holds at the top, which I generally am not a fan of. But for calves, there is some indication that adding time under tension and doing holds may actually be beneficial. Now, some might ask why time under tension for calves when you don't focus it on other muscle groups. I actually do on traps. Traps have a limited range of motion, and one of the drivers of hypertrophy is having a reasonable time under tension. Is that not correct, Robert?
Yep.
I mean, so with traps, you kind of want to find a way to increase the time under tension to a reasonable level. And the same could be said with calves. If you're just doing a seated calf raise, it's just people tend to machine gun these and get like 5 seconds of time under tension in a 10-rep set.
Yeah, and the muscles aren't even doing much of the work at that point. That is the elasticity or the Achilles tendon that's taken over, and you're going to end up popping that sucker one of these days.
Right. So we set rules and then we break them based on what works best for that muscle group.
Right.
Omar, which of your workouts would you recommend for a late beginner, early intermediate that is more minimal? On my website, all right, let me pull this up here, screen share. Head over to my website. There's a workout tab. And where's it? Store, workouts, and more minimal. Now, my main book, Massive Iron, on my store has 20 different programs. Okay, so you can find more minimal programs in there. The A/B split, which is right here, if you can see it, that's a good program. The John Christie 531, that's a good program. And I have my own little 5x5, so I would recommend any of those. Did we have a question about testing your 1 rep max safely? Did I gloss over that?
Yeah, that was part of the one where he was asking about the rep goal system.
Okay. If you see right here, I got a piece on here, how to peak, test your 1 rep max. If you're looking at safety and how to peak for a 1 rep max properly, please check out that thing. As far as safety, though, just make sure you got a spotter. Beyond peaking properly, just got to make sure you have a spotter. All right, let's get some supplement questions in here. All right, did we do this one, Kristen? Do you guys think upper back muscle tightness can affect range of motion in the shoulder bones, grinding, popping, etc.? Wow, Robert, any thoughts on this one? I'll toss that one your way.
I mean, I would assume so. I mean, you've got the upper back musculature that's connecting, that connects to the shoulder joint. So yeah, if you've got tightness, adhesions, anything like that going on in there, then yeah, I would definitely. Sorry, I had to spread coronavirus all over my floor. There we go.
I got my hand right here. I can't stop dripping.
Yeah, if you've got adhesions or muscle tightness in certain areas, or an imbalance in the strength between the front side and the back side of your shoulder, that can definitely lead to popping, clicking, discomfort, decreased range of motion in there. So yeah, if it's something serious that you can't get out with just some self myofascial release or some foam rolling, yeah, maybe go see a deep tissue massage therapist or an osteopath.
As far as I can tell you, the term muscle bound is actually a real thing. I mean, you can have so much girth that you can't reach things. So I know that can affect range of motion. And when you add tightness into it, like when I'm tight, my range of motion is even reduced. As far as bones grinding and popping, if you got something grinding or popping, popping's usually tendons, is it not, Robert?
Yeah, it can be. It can be the tendon slipping over the bone right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So massage, there's not a lot that massage doesn't help. Massage will help the fascia and it'll help the muscles.
Yep.
Natural remedies to lower blood pressure that is a little on the high side. Number 1, get some sleep. Number 2, get rid of as much processed crap out of your diet as you can. Processed flour, processed sugar, processed food with a lot of added ingredients. Those are a good first step. Get out in the sun, do your cardio, and do a resistance training program. That's a good step. Anything to add, Robert?
Yeah, make sure your body weight is under control. Your stress levels are under control. We'll say that as far as natural remedies for that. Stress management, sleep, good diet, exercise, all of those things above what I'm about to say. For supplement side of things, look at grapeseed extract, standardized between 95 to 98% polyphenols. That's a really great one. Or you can go for, I guess, the more premium extract, which is going to be Vaso 6, but grapeseed extract works just as well, in my opinion. There's more data in humans at this point. I do like Vaso 6 as an ingredient for blood flow and nitric oxide production. We just don't have enough human data on it yet. Let's see, we got grapeseed extract. You can use citrulline malate or purell citrulline. Nitrosogene is another nitric oxide support supplement. Potassium nitrate from iForce Nutrition is another one that could help with blood pressure. Let's see, what else we got? Ornithine supports blood pressure levels. I would probably prefer citrulline malate or citrulline and grapeseed extract over that first, though. Those are my top 3 recommendations. Or you can go for like a non-stim pump formula. That's got a bunch of different vasodilators and blood pressure support agents in there. So that's another good option.
Now, I just want to give a quick apology to anybody commenting on Facebook. My live videos keep moving over to friends only other than public, and when they do that, the comments don't show here. I said it immediately after we started. I said I was headed over to Facebook to change it to public. I went back and checked because we're not getting any Facebook questions, and it was set to friends again. So I sincerely apologize for that. Greg Duvier, do you guys like rye bourbon? I basically like to dabble with a little bit of all kinds of whiskeys, scotches. I like playing around with the diversity. I don't know about you, Robert, but I kind of like seeing what the quality is on all the different fronts. How about you?
I like rye in a cocktail setting where it can give it a little bit more character. Sometimes if you use just a bourbon that's a little too smooth or straightforward, it can make the cocktail taste, I guess, a little bit one note. Whereas the rye, it's got more botanical, it's got more spice, more variety to it, so it can make a cocktail be a little bit more exciting. But if I'm going just straight bourbon, or if I'm typically, I prefer regular bourbon to rye bourbon. It's just the way my palate is. But I experiment with a multitude of different bourbons. So in my cabinet right now, I've got Old Grandad 114, Woodford Reserve, Knob Creek, Noah's Mill, Willet. What else is over there? Iron Wolf Distillery, the local Texas distillery that I always like. Old Forester, and Evan Williams Bottled and Bond, which is their 100 proof bourbon. So yeah, I like to experiment with a bunch of different ones. Oh, and American High West whiskey too.
So, Robert, are you familiar with Pappy Van Winkle?
I am familiar with Pappy Van Winkle. Yes.
It for anybody that doesn't know, it retails for 15-year retails for $2,200 a bottle. Okay, you read that right. $2,200 a bottle. A funny story, and we'll move on after this. When I left Muscle and Strength, they took my name off my articles, which you can't do. You cannot disassociate an author or a creative work from the author. So
you might want to go back and tell a few other websites I've worked for that fact, Steve.
You can. So I let them know. I went to a lawyer, and I let the lawyer know. And the lawyer's like, "Man, you got a cut and dried case," because not only because they have it all, they don't have it on there now, but you can go back to the Wayback Machine and see exactly when they took your name off disassociated your name with their work. So I'm not going to say the dollar amount. But I sent them me and my lawyer sent them a nice letter saying, either you settle for this or we will sue for this. And they settled. And let's just say it was a happy, glorious day in the household. I happened to be in Kentucky at the time, and there was a whiskey bar that had Pappy. And I said, give me a glass of that sucker. $120 for a little taste of Pappy Van Winkle. Was it okay? It was all right. I got the dance with the devil, right? But that was on Muscle and Strength's dime. So just a little.
It's a lot of those things. If you get into, I mean, the world of bourbon is as vast and as complex as like the world of nootropic supplements. They've got bourbon review channels and people that discuss the distillation process and how to do all this. You find out that there's a few like mega suppliers and distillers in the country, and they release a bunch of different versions or a bunch of different brands that they'll distill for. And if you listen to enough of these bourbon review channels, you see like all the super premium high end ones that are like $400 or $500 a bottle. They have the same mash bill as a bottle of bourbon that's like 5 or 10 years old instead of instead of them being aged 12 or 15 years. And the taste and the notes and the characters, flavors that you'd find on there are not all that different. To where you're paying almost more for like the fancy ass bottle or the name than anything.
Robert, when you're in town next, we're going to make a trip to Covington, which is like 30 minutes away. There's one of my favorite bars. It's one of the best whiskey bars in Kentucky, which says a lot. And the owner are friends of ours. And it's called the Prohibition Bar, and all they have is whiskey, right? Whiskey and a few beers. So Pete told me the same thing, the owner. He said, we got Pappy, and then we got the same bottle that comes out of the same facility with a different label, and it's 10% of the cost or 20% of the cost. So
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. You just have to dig deep and find it.
I think is that larceny? Is that is?
I don't know who makes Pappy. It's been so long since I cared that I've lost track.
I mean, I have a bottle of bourbon here. I have a bottle of larceny here, and I actually really like it. It says, known as poor man's Pappy. This bourbon whiskey just got a lot more interesting. It's larceny. Yeah, it's the exact same one. They're both made by Heaven Hill.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Kyle, Eli, Passmore, developing left arm, forearm pain from heavy 5x5 benching. Should I take a break from 5x5? Usually the set and rep scheme isn't the issue with an injury. I don't think that the set and rep scheme is the primary driver. You'd have to have somebody look at the bigger picture to make sure there's no issues with your program. But whenever you deal with pain, you definitely need to chill on the volume and the weight to allow it some time to heal. You don't have to stop lifting, but what I would generally recommend is removing 1/3 of the volume and maybe just dropping the weight 15% for a while. See how that feels and just kind of play it by ear. Michael, my new best friend, Michael Williams. I deliver CO2 to Dogfish Head. Sneak a few 120s out of there, sir, and we'll make it worth your while. You know what I'm saying? Orion XS, does alcohol inhibit muscle growth or testosterone? Good question.
In excess, it absolutely can, because it will excessive alcohol intake, which most World Health Organizations would say for men is in excess of 2 drinks per day or more than 15 per week. So excessive chronic alcohol abuse consumption increases aromatase activity in the body, which facilitates the conversion of testosterone to estrogen. So plus, when you drink alcohol, you tend to overeat on your calories. It also limits muscle protein synthesis. So yes, it can inhibit testosterone production. It can reduce muscle recovery, muscle protein synthesis, and thereby muscle growth. Am I saying that if you have 1 beer a week or even 1 beer a day, is that going to rob you of your gains and make your balls shrivel? No. It's the abuse of alcohol, the excessive consumption of it. Just like you excessively consume anything, it will have deleterious effects to your health and your progress in the gym. But the occasional drink or one glass of wine a day, no, it's not going to have any substantially adverse effects on your body. Now, if you're a Mr. Olympia competitor, I would say avoid alcohol at all costs. But for the average Joe or Jane, no.
My biggest concern is I'll equate this to like sleep deprivation. You can live on only 7 hours of sleep, and you kind of get used to how you feel, and that becomes your new normal. And if you're drinking every night of the week, 2 to 3 drinks a night, how you wake up, how you feel in the morning becomes your new normal. So just take that into consideration. It's not going to impact muscle growth if you're using it in a balanced manner. So Robert said it all. Pork meat. Do you have any squat tips for more glute ham activation? I don't like to turn compound movements into isolation movements. Don't do it. Don't change your form. You're under heavy weight. You got to use the conventional squat cues to keep your body in a proper biomechanical position, leverage-friendly position, so you don't hurt your back, so you don't hurt your knees. Never try to turn a compound movement into an isolation movement, no matter how much Ryan Humiston says. Don't worry about where you feel things on a squat. I feel a squat on my hamstrings only, and my hamstrings are sore the next day, but my quads are huge. That doesn't mean you're not growing in that area. That could mean you have a very weak area. When I squat, I feel it almost fully on my quads. That could mean your quads are super weak. And if they are, that means your glute and hams are just taking up the slack, and they might be powerful and able to handle it. Look, in a squat, I guarantee your glutes and hams are being activated. They are. If you want to work your booty, your big, juicy booty, and your hamstrings, do it after squats with other exercises like lunges and Dimmel deadlifts and all that kind of stuff. Robert, anything to add?
No, I would say if you're doing, I mean, it's also going to depend on if he's doing high bar or low bar squatting, or if he's doing like a sumo squat. That's going to affect it. Because if you're doing a traditional, closer stance high bar squat, that's going to be almost purely quads and glutes. So it wouldn't surprise me that he's not feeling much in his hamstrings. But if the wider your feet go, the more turned out your feet get, the lower the bar on your back. That's where you start getting more of the posterior chain activation and less quad emphasis.
Yeah, Robert makes a good point. I mean, there is a difference between high and low bar and how wide you squat. Most squatters don't do the super wide stance. That's usually a something done by people in gear, and I'm talking about roids. So
Yeah.
I'm struggling right now with my sinuses. They're completely locked up. I'm in hell, and it's hard for me to breathe. That's just life right now in Ohio. So if I feel like shit or sound like shit, I apologize. The deadlift dead. Resistance bands on compound movements. Thoughts or opinions? Adding bands to challenge the lockouts, or adding bands, reverse bands to make the lockout easier. I played around with them. I like chains a lot more. Bands always feel like bouncy and awkward to me, and I've done them both. I've done some reverse band stuff at Tiger Fitness when I worked there. Don't like it. I like chains much better. I just do. They feel better for me. Can they have value? They'll make the lockout harder on bench. That'll work your triceps a little bit more. On squats, if you find on squats that the hard part for you is the lockout, or the deadlifts, the hard part is, or the easy part's the lockout, and you want to make it harder, by all means. I mean, there are some channels on YouTube that are against stuff like this, but it's a tool, and I just made a video this morning about it. I'll be releasing on Monday. If you're really strong off the floor, but your lockout sucks, you can use bands to work your lockout. What harm is there, right? Bert von Stavenheimer. It's Steiner Waldorf style. I don't know what that means. What is Robert? You have any idea what we're talking about here from Bert von Stavenheimer? Okay, somebody Google Steiner Waldorf style. I'm not sure if that's a sexual position, a dance move, or a new shirt ensemble for the fall collection. Somebody fill me in. Rob, hi. My left pec is smaller than my right. Should I do more work? No. I get these questions, and Rob, I don't know, maybe you can fill me in, but 99% of the time I get these questions from guys that are pretty lean and are a little bit lower on the body weight scale, so they can actually see a difference. Does that make sense? So I'd be curious where your strength levels are on your bench press and your dumbbell bench press. So if you could give us more information, where are your strength levels on your dumbbell bench, your barbell bench, what's your height and weight? That would help me kind of gauge, and your age. That would help me gauge a little bit. Bert von Hammersteiner, use dumbbells and let the stronger side follow the weak. Gotcha. You're right. Just use dumbbells and barbells. Greg Duvier, you guys should invite KH Performance Labs back. I'd love to have him back. So maybe we'll tickle his ovaries and see what he thinks. Bert von Hammersteiner, UBHD is himself a superhero, right? I don't know what that means. Ugly, big hair.
I think he meant BHUD instead of UBHD.
I don't know, man. I'm just a normal dude. I'm just a normal dude. Robert, have you seen a website called Cameo or Cameos? Well, it's the latest thing. You can go on this website, and for anywhere from $10 to $20 to $400, you can have your favorite celebrity, athlete, or whatever make you a video or make a video for somebody else. So I was looking at video ideas for my mom. My mom's 75 today, right? Like, what do you get her? I'm like, I'm going to get her an experience. I looked, the Brett Favre video was $400. I'm like, I don't want to get her that kind of experience. Where's like the, like the Jim McMahon experience for $75? So yeah, But you can get Ric
Interesting.
Flair. You can pay somebody to make a message for your friend from Ric Flair or whatever. It's crazy.
That'd be fun. Get a big woo.
But the reason why I bring this up is I was checking it out, and Robert Frank is on there. And I'm like, Robert Frank's big enough to have his own cameo page, but I'll know when I reach superhero level when I'm encouraged to do cameos. I don't know. Yeah. Some Bert von Hammersteiner. I'm not a superhero. I'm just an average dude. Do you do any forearm training? No, not at all. I'm a big believer when it comes to neck training and forearm training. If you just spend years in the grind, that your neck will grow and your forearms will grow. And my seemingly bro science is backed by the fact that every seasoned lifter I've ever met doesn't do neck training or forearm training, and they're big as Popeye. So, Robert, anything to add?
Nope.
Robert, I'll let you respond to this one.
Hello.
Thank you. All right, Matthew Whitaker. Hey, guys, I can only make it to the gym 3 times a week. I don't like the word only. I know training each muscle group twice a week is more optimal, but can I still make gains? 3 days a week is plenty, my friend. I do, for a lot of my clients, I do 3 days a week, A-B split, flexible schedule. So upper A, posterior A, upper B, posterior B, rotate those over the course of 3 days a week. You get each muscle group in 1.5 times a week. That's plenty if you're attacking. Anything to add, Robert?
Nope, you got it.
All right. Guys, we got about an hour left, and I really want to encourage you to toss some supplement questions up here for Robert Shinetsky, or put Robert on the spot by asking him a awkward and personal question. If I get a really good awkward and personal question for Robert, I will send you a free T-shirt. All right, get him in now.
Fucker.
All right.
Jesus. Here we go.
Shane Wennerschneiner, workout partner falling off the rails, hesitant to go solo. Any thoughts? Kick that bitch to the curb. I mean, seriously, you don't need a distraction. I get a lot of questions. I'm curious what you think about this, Robert, whether it's social issue or what, but a lot of folks will tell me they couldn't go all out on their bench sets at the gym, because they train alone. And I've never been shy about asking for a spot on the big lifts because I just want to do the big lifts. I mean, do you think that's any advice for the folks that are like a little bit shy at the gym, Robert?
I mean, I guess I would fall into this category because I'm more of the introvert, but you got to, I guess, be willing to step outside of your comfort zone. And most people would realize, especially if, you train at more one of the hardcore gyms, you can find somebody that, seems receptive, or they're training with the same intensity that you are at the gym. They're going to be more than willing to come over and help you, or at least spot you for something. The last thing somebody else that's serious about lifting at the gym wants to do is see somebody else bust their ass or hurt themselves when they're trying to lift it. So they would be more than willing to come on over. All you got to do is just kind of, take your balls out of your purse and go up to them and ask them.
Yeah, Shane, honestly, you deserve better than that. No, we don't know what this guy's going through, but get in the gym and dealing with bullshit. You're ready to go. You're full speed. You pop that pre-workout. That you're ready to hit the gas pedal. And this guy's in his car. Texting his some girl he dated 2 years ago because he whatever shit he's got going on. Kick him to the curb. Tell him to. I'm going to start at this time. If you don't like it, kick rocks, kid. And as far as finding a spotter, I'm going to give you guys some general advice. Find the biggest, burliest, strongest looking guy at the gym. And generally he's experienced. He's been where you are at. And he's more than willing to help somebody that wants to tear it up. In addition, he's unlikely to be like one of these douche cookies that's going to grab the bar halfway up just because they have an ego and they want to feel like they're doing something. So find a guy, develop a relationship with him, thank him, make sure to thank him, and don't push the button too much. Maybe once, maybe twice, say, hey, man, thanks. I got one more set to go. Would it be a bother? And if he says whatever, then just leave him alone. Mm-hmm. Bert von Steiner Hammond. Go solo. Reliable training partners are rare. Indeed. Aniket Sharma, love from Asia. Much love back. Thank you for following. Greg Duvier, I like your thinking of Fargo taking over Minneapolis. Yeah. I mean, Minneapolis is in disarray, and never has there been a more perfect time for Fargo to annex Minneapolis and set that city straight. JLK vid reviews and fitness. How much do you wait? Robert?
I wait a long time.
Uh,
How much do I weigh? Currently, before COVID started, I was around 170, and now I'm down to like 158. Just because I get up and walk around and move so much. That was probably the last time I weighed myself was February, and then I hopped on the scale I think 2 weeks ago and it's down to 158. So yeah, I haven't dieted on purpose, but it's mostly because of I get up and do a lot of walking during the day now. I'm bored sitting at home. So yeah, that's what I do to kill the time. Plus the weather's really nice now too.
All right, Big Zima. When you do marathons, do you keep a steady pace or do you walk for some parts? Very good question. I do marathons, all trail work. I don't do pavement work. So the trails we run on are like a roller coaster of elevation. The biggest thing you want to be concerned with when you run is keeping your heart rate steady, not letting it peg. So you learn you have to walk up trail or walk up hills, walk up elevation. And you can always tell when you have kind of a noob runner because they're trying to run up elevation. Obviously, there's some guys that are super fit that can knock out a trail marathon in 4 or 5 hours. They're freaks, and they generally can run up up hills or elevation, no problem. For the rest of us, we're finishing in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours, which seems long, but until you've run on rocks and roots and mud and elevation, endless elevation grinds, and uneven terrain, it's pretty much par for the course. So you got to do a steady pace and you got to walk uphill. We do what's called a conversational pace. You run at a pace where you can hold a conversation with somebody next to you. If you get above that, generally you're running too fast and you're going to bonk because you're running for 5, 6, 7 hours. You're gonna run out of speed. And if it's hot, because you're running for a long period of time, you risk cramps, you risk vomiting, all kinds of heinous stuff. Bert von Steinerhamen. Why would you want to run 50 or 100K? Bert, why wouldn't you want to run 150 or 100K? Why does a man climb a mountain, Robert?
Because he's got to get to the top.
Because one day, here's the honest answer, Bert. Because one day I saw somebody do it that I didn't think could do it. And one day I saw it. I saw somebody do it. And I'm like, I've never heard of anybody doing that before, right? And then I tried it myself, and I did something so emotional and life-changing, a life-changing experience, putting yourself through something so tediously impossible, and then you accomplish it. It changes your DNA, and it doesn't just make you it doesn't just give you mental strength for running. It helps you with other things in life, and that's the essence of challenge. So it's not about running. What made me want to go balls deep in powerlifting and running? It's the same thing. I want to see what the fuck I can accomplish before this life is over. So it's an intense thrill for me. It's an intense thrill because how many things in life do you have control over? How many? You can control
when you can go to sleep and what you put in your mouth.
Right. And you can control whether you get it. Like some people, I don't have the motivation or discipline. You know what? You have control over that shit. You don't have control over taxes, what the politician's going to do, or even how your wife's going to treat you. But you have control. You have control over getting up every day and saying, I'm going to run for 2 hours a day because I want to see what the fuck I can accomplish. And when you put that work in, it pays off. It pays off in powerlifting. It pays off in running. How many things in life can you put work into and have it actually pay off? You control your outcome. That's why I do it. That's why I do everything I do, because I have control and it's fun. All right. Thoughts about working around injuries like shoulder rotator cuffs, elbow tendonitis. Do you stop training? If it's a serious injury, there's different levels of injuries. A serious injury, yes, like a tear, you got to be really careful with and how you retrain. But I never stop training. I reduce volume, I reduce intensity, and I listen to what is going on. Recently, I got a arch injury from running. I kicked a stump, and it was really, really bad. And I had to reduce my frequency to every other day for only an hour. So you do have to reduce some things and play it by ear and see what's happening. Joy Pass, do you take TRT or plan to, or why? I explored it back in 2006 when I left healthcare and became a machinist. I explored it. I found out my testosterone levels were pretty low at the time, but I was eating like crap, and my insurance was crappy, and they wanted like $200 a month to do blood work every month and $200 a month. So that was just way out of my price range. So, are you a Christian? No. I don't really like to talk religion or politics on the channel. So pretty much anything's fair game, but religion or politics. So
I'm from New Orleans, and I was raised Catholic. I still am Catholic. So, you said ask personal questions. There's the answer for me. Yes, I'm Catholic.
Yeah, I don't have any problems with that. I was baptized Lutheran, so me and Robert are going to butt heads here any moment. But
it's diet Catholic. My dad was Methodist. My mom was Catholic. So we understand. The heathens like you guys. That's a joke for everybody out there. That's a joke. Catholics don't really regard all of the other sects of Christianity as heathens or atheists or whatever you would think they are. They're not going to all burn in hell.
Well, I will tell you, I'm from Wisconsin, and there's like 7 million different Lutheran sects. They all battle one another. It's like a WWE. And this is a true story. I just spit. But when I lived there about 10, 15 years ago, they all gathered to have a prayer conference, a summit. Mm-hmm. All the different. This is true. You can Google this. And as they gathered, and this sounds like a joke, but it's not. They couldn't agree on how to hold the opening prayer, so they disassembled before they even started the conference. True story.
Good grief.
Should a 14-year-old who's 25% body fat cut? A 14-year-old should not do calorie restriction. A 14-year-old should work on improving their food quality intake and talking with their parents to help them with that, to better take care of their diet.
Agreed.
No calorie restriction. You're still growing. Quality calories. Rob, do you have anything to add to that? I didn't mean to jump you out of the picture.
No, you're good. I just realized if it depends. Are you a girl or a guy? That's two different things. Girls are going to have a higher body fat percentage than men and still be in a healthier range. 25 is high for a guy.
But you know what? I mean, body fat percentages are all guesstimates anyway.
Right.
And a lot of times people have higher body fat percentages in their teens because they don't have any weight on their body. They haven't fully filled out yet. So,
yeah.
Shane Venner von Heimensteiner, thoughts on incorporating vitamin D3 into daily supplements for working out? I take it because of Robert Chinetsky.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest nutrient deficiencies around the globe for people, just because we tend to not spend enough time outdoors. And even if we are, you may not have access to, enough quality sunlight, especially if you live up north, or if you wear a bunch of sunscreen and stuff like that, that can inhibit the absorption and conversion of vitamin D in the body. So yeah, I would recommend most people take it, especially if you're not outdoors enough where you're getting enough sunlight directly in contact with your skin. It supports a bunch of things. Vitamin D, we call it a vitamin, but it's really like a pro-hormone. So it's the precursor to a bunch of other hormones that are used in the body. So yes, definitely take that.
Now, the next question, I got some interesting personal stories. The Catholic King says, thoughts on Bud Jeffries training. This is going to tie into Louisiana. I actually met Bud. We planned to meet. And we met at a YMCA parking lot in Louisiana about 6 years ago, just out in the parking lot. And Bud brings out all his steel and nails and stuff. And we're in the parking lot just bending steel and nails and stuff for hours, literally.
Yeah.
Literally. And Bud's son was alive back then. And I was watching his son just crush stuff I couldn't crush. But it was amazing 3 or 4 hours. Bud's a great guy. I love Bud. Bud does some ridiculous stuff. I have complete respect for Bud because, he just does some crazy, crazy stuff. What do I think on his training? Bud's strong. Bud is legit strong. And I'm not going to call what he does a circus act because it's not. It's old time strongman stuff. Eventually, it'll get you hurt, but Bud's not a fool. Bud's an adult. He's been doing it forever. The only thing I can say is if you're going to get into stuff like that, just ease in. You got to build a good quality strength base. But I actually have videos on this channel of me and Bud in that said parking lot in Louisiana. Plaquemine. Is that how you say it, Robert? You're from down there.
Plaquemine.
Plaquemine. Boy, I hate
yeah.
that city. That was not my favorite city in the world. That's right. Never seen so much racism and hate and poverty. I don't know. I don't like that city very much.
Yeah.
So, KO Search, how many exercises per session optimal? Probably about 4. 4 is about the limit. You can squeeze in 5. I don't know. Quads, squats, leg press, lunges, whatever. 12, 15 sets tapped out for major muscle groups. 12 is about the sweet spot for me. Robert, any thoughts?
Nope. I like that 3 to 4 per body part, depending on obviously your split or something. So, I mean, if you're doing like a chest and back routine, you're going to have more exercises. Obviously, you're not just going to have 4 exercises. Well, I guess you could. You're doing a bunch of sets then. And by that point, you start having to do like 5 or 6 sets for the same exercise. So it depends a little bit on what your training split is. But for, like Steve said, for each muscle group, 3 to 4 exercises per body part per session is good.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really get away with more than 3, and we got to look at it from a weekly perspective. A full body, you're going to need 3 exercises per week at least. But a full body makes it hard to squeeze in that 4th exercise. You got to get creative from a programming standpoint. So, yeah. All right, we have a question from Greta von Moonberg. Thoughts on taking protein before bed? Significant impact or not really?
It would depend on the rest of your protein intake throughout the day. So if let's say you need to take in 150 grams of protein per day, 8 o'clock comes, you've already eaten 170 grams of protein for the day, and you take another 25 gram protein shake right before bed. Is that going to have a substantially greater impact? Most likely not. But if you are lacking on your protein and that other 25 grams of protein gets you to that threshold, that 1 gram per pound or slightly over, then yeah, it's going to have an impact on it. So it really depends on the greater context of what you're consuming the rest of the day.
And Robert, I'm going to make you a promise right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to reduce my bad accent so I annoy you a little bit less for the last 38 minutes.
Oh, I'm good with accents, man. I love the von Heikensteimer, Liechtensteiner thing you've been doing.
Yeah. Dave Argentino. Just to clarify my question, rep goal, wondering why, let's say, 45 reps total instead of 3 sets of 15. Because the whole point of the rep goal system was to get people to push, to work harder. And that's just one vehicle to do so. If you're doing 3 by 15, where's the carrot to add weight? In addition, if you're not pushing a set for as many quality reps, that's an art. You get to learn your body. You get to learn form. You get to learn your limits, which has a lot of benefit as you progress as a trainee. And it also, the more fatigued the muscle is, the more muscle fibers you're recruiting. So there's very little downsides to doing a set or 2 sets like that. On some exercise. You just have to do it sanely, if that makes sense. I train 1 body part a week, but there are times I'm only able to train a body part once every 2 weeks. I know it's not optimal, but could I still make gains as long as I'm following progressive overload? Once every 2 weeks is about the limit for me because there's a rate of decay after that where I think you kind of need to be cautious. if you go 3 weeks in between bench sessions, you kind of need to take a step back because there's other things in the body being impacted, like tendons, etc. So, do what you can do. I mean, I'm not going to tell you it's optimal, but I think you can survive on that, and just listen to your body. Robert, do you have anything to add on that?
Nope.
All right, Frank Fitness. We don't know what's going on in the UK with regards to COVID either. Pubs and restaurants have been ordered to shut as of 10 o'clock yesterday. It breaks my heart. I mean, I don't think it needs to go to that. And it breaks my heart from all the people affected. There's more people affected by this than there are affected by COVID. And if I'm wrong, show me the statistics. The Catholic King, Bud Jeffries, is awesome, and he's a good guy. John Rayleigh, nice shirt, John. Robert, are you still working on a joint supplement with? Yeah.
Yep, as mentioned earlier, flavor samples are coming in this week, and then after that, if we give them the all clear, then they'll start running the product. And then when it officially gets released, I will let all of you know, and Steve can post up the link to the site where it's going to go and all of that good stuff.
Chris Pena, my question was skipped not on purpose, Chris, as we try to let everybody know each live video. YouTube is really funny, and sometimes questions don't post. I was running, and Robert fired up his live video, his Wednesday live video this week, and he didn't see my questions. So it's not on purpose. Just continue to post your question. Sometimes longer questions don't make it through their filter either, so keep that in mind. Okay, I'm going to tone this down. Bert von Steiverheimen. All right. He doesn't see all the questions, correct. Of course, he doesn't see or can answer every question. Dude has to eat, sleep. No, we do answer every question. Thank von Heimersteimen. How long should a workout last for muscle and strength, like your AB or split workout? Robert, I'm gonna let you fill in the gaps scientifically with anything you know here, but a normal workout, for the average individual, I usually try to cap it at an hour and 15 minutes. Not because you're going to die or testosterone levels are going to explode or you're going to go catabolic, but if you can't get a good workout in 60 to 75 minutes, you have no business training longer. And plus, after that, you probably need to if you want to stay in longer, you probably need to get a second hobby or activity. So, monitor your rest times. You don't have to keep a strict rest in between sets, but just make sure you're not doing the phone poker where you're doing 5 minutes in between sets of leg extensions. Robert, anything to add?
No, I mean, it's like you said, if you're over there past 75 to 90 minutes, I mean, it's really just an inefficient waste of your time at that point. You're just dicking around or trending into the junk volume territory. You can get everything you need into in 60 to 75 minutes.
At the end, my workouts were an hour and a half, but, honestly, half of that time was loading plates. When I was at my strongest, I'd have to do the bar deadlifts, bar, 135, 225, 315, 365, 405, 455, 505, 555. I mean, you're doing like 8 bazillion warm-up sets, and you're like a half an hour in before you even start working out. So, Bert von Heimersteimen, really an American thing with the lawyers and stuff. Happily, it's I don't know what we're talking about. Robert, what did I miss here?
Was that? I don't know.
Okay, next. Mad
Weren't
Max.
the bars closing, maybe?
I don't know. An American thing with lawyers. I don't know. Maybe my comment about muscle and strength.
Maybe so.
Yeah. Mad Max. I'm pretty sure it's the same in England, or the UK. If they disassociate your name from a creative work, I'm sure a lawyer will be happy to take your case. Mad Max, thanks for the VersaGrip tip. You bet. They're so much better than regular lifting straps. Absolutely. Kind of spendy, but worth it. Yeah, I mean, mine, I paid like $45 for mine 12 years ago, and I still use them, and they're worth every penny. Chris, loving your 6-week bench builder. Really glad. Keep at it. Keep your focus. Keep your nutrition consistent, and let me know how you do. Freddie Mercury. Wow. Here we go. Are chest flies necessary? No. And can you grow a big chest using bench press variations alone? Yes. But why? You don't want to overwork movement patterns. You probably want to have a little bit of variation in there. A bench press variation, a dumbbell bench press variation, a dip, maybe a push-up, a machine chest press, and maybe an isolation exercise. Robert, any thoughts?
Nope, you can do that. I mean, the only limiting thing with the bench press variations is that they usually don't allow you to bring your arm all the way across the center line of your body, so you're missing out on one of the functions of the pecs, which is horizontal adduction. You can get it a little bit when you're doing presses, but you don't get complete. I mean, you're not going to cross your arms like this when you're doing dumbbell bench pressing or something like that, or even push-ups. I mean, I guess you could slide your hands on the floor if you've got sliders or something like that, but I mean, the flies are good, or the cable crossovers or resistance band flies, whatever you want to do. That allows you to get that full contraction across the midline of your body. So that would be the only, I guess, added benefit of that, or just to increase total chest volume and give some of your, give your triceps and your shoulders, your anterior delts a break.
Now, there's a lot of times when I answer a question, Robert digs in, and then I think of some other reasons why the question might be asked. If you're working out at home, and that's really all you have, yeah, you can do a lot with limited equipment. Like if you only, but even in the worst case scenario, you only have a barbell. You can do barbell and push up supersets. You can do plate presses, the Sven press. Are you familiar with that, Robert?
Yeah.
I mean, you
can squeeze the plate like that, and you go, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can do some creative stuff like that. So, I mean, you can build a lot of muscle with just barbell stuff and dumbbell stuff. Ricky Field, do you have to lift heavy to build more muscle? Yes. I've never seen anybody that's big weak. Never, and I've seen them all. You will not see a top-level bodybuilder, body transformation story. They'll all tell you they're weak or they don't train for strength, but they're all superhumanly strong. Robert, have you ever seen anybody that has a lot of muscle mass that, say, is weak, what you would consider weak, like the average male weak or the average gym rat weak?
No. I mean, and heavy's always relative. So you eventually have to keep lifting heavier to build muscle. So your body, so initially 135 on the bench is going to feel heavy for most people that have never trained a day in their life. But, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, that's going to seem like nothing. And so you have to lift heavier if you want to keep avoiding the plateau and keep building muscle and gaining strength. So lifting heavy is relative to where you're starting and where you're intending to go. It's not just, we're not dealing in absolute terms. We're dealing in relative to what you can do now to where you need to go to get results in the future.
And I'd like to detach people from the thought that lifting heavy has to equate to a 1 rep max.
Right.
If you got to the point where you could do 185 on bench press for 5x10, we would say 185 is not heavy. But if you can do 5x10, you're probably going to have a reasonable amount of muscle mass because your relative 1 rep max would be strong. That's how I always trained. I never trained for a 1 rep max. I always trained like that. And that's how I train now. Right now I do 225 for 5x10 on bench. And it's not impressive. It doesn't, there's no fireworks going off, et cetera. All right, Robert, I'm going to take a deep breath before this next comment because the big, hairy, ugly dude does not like people telling me to take it easy. Why? Because it's my motherfucking channel. Kick rock, kid. I want a free t-shirt right now. After telling me to take it easy, you know what? I'd encourage you to come show up on my doorstep and I'd be happy to give you a free t-shirt. All right. Kick rocks, kid. All right. I'm 18, 183 centimeters and 78 kilograms. That's a lot of math for us Americans. Not that lean. I started 3 months ago with 64 kilograms. That's a lot of rapid weight gain. I assume you mean body weight, because if not, that's substantial amount of bench press gain. My bench press max is 90 by 4. My dumbbell is 25 by 8. I think it's a defect. I have no inner. Look, Rob, your strength levels are pretty good. Honestly, I'd have to look at it. So that's all I can really say. You can send a picture. I don't really like shirtless pictures appearing in my DM box. Just being facetious, but I would have somebody look at it. I'd get a second opinion because a lot of times we're very, very critical. If it's some kind of a medical or muscular issue, there's not a lot you can do about it. Tyler, how do you feel about taking multivitamins? Do they make much of a difference? Robert?
If they can make much of a difference if you are eating a crappy diet and you have deficiencies in one or more key micronutrients. I always look at it as people that are more physically active place greater micronutrient demands on their body. And even the best eaters may develop some shortfalls in their nutritional profile. So as such, multivitamins are cheap, they're affordable, they're widely available. You can easily use one. It's not going to cost you that much, and it's just a little bit added measure of protection to make sure all your bases are covered. Even if you are, I'm somebody that eats several pounds of fruits and vegetables a day. I still take a multivitamin just because it's just make sure that you're getting that extra little 1% that you may not be getting. That might not be be cooked out of the food, processed out of the food, or when it's getting transported across from one state to the other. As far as when you buy that piece of like avocado or whatever fruit or vegetable on the shelf, it's not like they just picked it from the farm that day and put it on there unless you're going to a farmer's market. It was probably grown in Mexico or in California or some other state, sat in a warehouse for a couple of weeks, then spent 3 weeks driving across the country on a truck. Then it's in the back store of the warehouse of the grocery store that you shop at. Then you pick it up, then you bring it home, put it in your refrigerator for 3 or 4 days. And all this time, the longer it's off the vine or the tree, the branch, the ground, the whatever, there's a decay in its micronutrient content. So having a multivitamin helps, kind of boost up the micronutrition that you're getting from these foods. So yeah, I think they will make a smidge difference. Do I think that they are going to cure cancer, stop heart disease, all of that kind of stuff? No, but a lot of studies come out saying, oh, vitamin D supplements don't protect you from cancer. Well, no shit, they weren't developed for that. They were just developed to fill in the gaps in that can develop in a lifestyle. If you are busy one day and you can't eat enough fruits and vegetables, or you train really hard and your body is using up more of those minerals to repair and recover. So,
Robert, I'm curious. Do you guys do the farmers market thing?
We have from time to time, but most of the time, no, not especially not right now, just because it's all so stupid. The way everything's being run right now, no, we haven't.
Just curious. I mean, we started. We're right in the downtown area, and we've been watching a lot of the local compadres struggles. So we've been trying to support the farmers market, and regarding vegetable life. We're enjoying getting stuff that's been picked, 2 days ago. So I was just curious since you mentioned it. I want to mention before I get into the next question, I put Bert von Hammensteimer in a timeout, and I'm letting you know, Bert, I've been involved with internet forums a long time and Q&A sessions. And one thing that's really disrespectful and irritating to the hosts or the people running the forum, or on my forum, for example, we have a Q&A with Robert, is other people jumping in to ask questions when they're aimed at Robert or myself. And Bert's responding to everybody on the channel. That's a quick way to get booted. This isn't the Bert von Hammensteimer hour, so I'm just letting you know why. I put Bert in a timeout and how to get a timeout yourself. Start answering questions for everybody else. You can start your own YouTube channel, Bert von Hammensteimer. And if you're respectful and courteous and polite and kind, I might even follow it. All right. Are there any supplements for ADHD focus that aren't stimulants?
Yeah, they've got a few nootropics that I would. So the main thing with ADHD and the reason they prescribe these stimulants like methylphenidate, Ritalin, Vyvanse, Adderall is mostly circulating around the dopamine, norepinephrine, epinephrine pathways in the body, and those stimulants increase the release of those chemicals in there. And one of them actually functions as a reuptake inhibitor, so it prevents your brain from reabsorbing the dopamine, so it stays in circulation longer, makes you feel happy, more focused, motivated. Because dopamine is the motivation, mood, reward molecule. It's also involved in decision making, focus, motivation, all of that good stuff, motor control as well. And stimulants do a really good job of boosting dopamine. That's why some of the most addictive substances on earth all seem to function, like cocaine, crack, all that stuff. They all trigger dopamine in the brain. That being said, anything that isn't a stimulant, yeah, you could do things. You want to look for things that are dopaminergic, donating, or supporting ingredients. Something like regular L-tyrosine. Don't go for N-acetyl L-tyrosine. Go regular L-tyrosine. That's the more bioavailable, cost-effective form, and it's just more effective all around. It's not as water soluble as N-acetyl L-tyrosine, but that doesn't actually make a whole hill of beans. You could even just dry scoop it if you wanted to. So 1 to 2 grams of regular L-tyrosine. You could look at something like velvet bean extract, or it's called mucuna pruriens, is one. Sulbutamine is a synthetic form of a B vitamin, so it's basically 2 B1 molecules that have been bonded together. That enhances mental energy and focus. I really like that. It's kind of an under-the-radar nootropic, but because it's technically synthetic, if you're going to have a hard time finding it in some supplements, you can still find it around. Don't get me wrong, you can still find it that way. But let's see, what else can we do? I believe there's some research showing that omega-3 supplements, as well as zinc and magnesium, also have been shown to have benefit for ADHD. Now, these are because those three are mostly addressing nutrient deficiency. So if you're not deficient in your essential fatty acids, zinc or magnesium, then chances are it may not have much benefit to you. Phosphatidylserine is another good one, as is theanine. Those are both kind of calming nootropics that can kind of promote focus without giving you a stimulatory or acting as a sedative either. Both of those work really well. And then last would be N-acetylcysteine, which is a powerful antioxidant in the body, but it also helps regulate the amount of dopamine and glutamate that's in the brain too.
So you said phosphatidylserine, correct?
Yeah, PS. Yeah, phosphatidylserine, PS.
It's interesting because I recall like 10 years ago. I don't even know what article I was writing or what it was about, but it included that ingredient. It's not one you hear tossed around a lot, and I can't even remember what it was advocated for or what I was advocating it for.
It's usually stress and anxiety. The hard thing is that it's a super expensive ingredient, and it's only a 50% yield. So most of the supplements you're going to see on the market is going to say 800 milligrams, phosphatidylserine 50%. But it means you're only getting 400 milligrams, and most of the studies are on a yield of 800 to 1600 milligrams.
I haven't heard that ingredient in a while, and made me want to backtrack in time. It's always stuck with me. I just couldn't recall what I advocated it for at the time. I've been training at home for the past 6 months, and unfortunately, I can't go back to the gym, I assume. With limited equipment and getting sore reaching failure, do I think I can approach a long-term lean bulk? I just made a video about soreness. Soreness isn't anything you want to chase or worry about. You just want to trust the train tracks, which is a reasonable amount of volume, good exercise selection, and progressive overload. Limited equipment, you can do a lot with limited equipment, with body weights and barbells or body weights and dumbbells. So as long as you have enough resistance around the house, you can absolutely do a long-term lean bulk. I would say, what's enough resistance? For the average individual, I'd make sure your dumbbells go up to 80s, and that you probably have at least 365 pounds of weight lying around in Olympic plates. And that seems like a lot, but once you toss in 2.5s and 5s and 10s and 25s, it kind of adds up quickly. And so as long as you have that, you should be pretty good. Anything to add, Robert?
Nope. You got one, Steve.
Braden Jukes, is there any upper limit to the amount of moderate intensity cardio someone can do while trying to build muscle? Upper limit, look, you don't. It's interesting, the worlds, when worlds collide, endurance training and strength training. I will say, and Robert can correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of the top athletes in the world have pretty reasonable amount of muscle. I mean, they might not look pretty or aesthetic, but they have a lot of functional muscle, and they also do a lot of cardio, of some form of endurance training or movement. So, if you want to do, what's the upper level of moderate intensity? Well, I'm going to bring this up because this is an important point. You guys need to hear this, and I don't know where my book is. It's right here. Okay, can you see this? 80-20 running, okay? The best endurance athletes in the world, it doesn't matter what sport it is, swimming, running, this has been around forever. They don't train at moderate intensity. 80% of their training is low intensity. So I want to stress that because we need to set the table with that. Endurance athletes train the majority of low intensity because it's more sustainable and easier to pack on and build volume in their realm. So you can pretty much do a lot of low intensity work and build muscle as long as you are eating properly. You're obviously going to have to listen to your body, make sure your food is there. But I know that if I train somebody that really is hungry for muscle and they want to run at the same time, they're probably going to be fine. Maybe it'll slow down their process 25 to 30% on muscle building. But I would argue that if they're hungry, they're probably going to still build muscle faster than the average gym rat. Robert, any thoughts on this?
I guess, what's your main goal? Do you want to get really good at doing moderate intensity cardio or build muscle? I would say structure your training. The law of specificity is dictates all. So focus on put your eggs more in the basket of the goal that you're primarily focused on. You can still do cardio and build muscle. I'm not saying that. But is your goal, do you want to run 7 days a week, or do you want to try to get bigger and stronger? Because your body has a finite amount of recovery reserves, especially if you're doing moderate intensity. So I'm assuming you're not doing all-out sprints, but you're not just going on a leisurely walk either. You're doing something that's moderate intensity. And if the research has shown us anything, that's the form of cardio that is the most counterproductive to muscle building. And usually that's done when it's done excessively or very close to resistance training workouts. So I would say if your focus is on building muscle, make that the priority during the week and then supplement in with your cardio sessions. You can go for a 30-minute walk after your resistance training or 6 hours after your resistance training. You can go on a walk or something like that, or even on an off day. That's fine. But I mean, do you need to go and run 5 to 10 miles 7 days a week? I think that would be counterproductive to trying to build substantial amounts of muscle.
If the old me went back in time to 18 and took with me my passions for running and lifting, what I would probably do is cycle. I would probably, I don't think there's any need to run, swim, whatever, more than 4 months out of the year. And that would be kind of a peaking. Like after we're done with all of our marathon running, etc., our goal is to occasionally twice a year enter a race, but to spend 2 months in a peaking cycle where we're ramping up our volume. So with that said, I think there's some ways to approach this puzzle. To maybe focus on muscle building 8 months out of the year and then maintaining 4 months out of the year with a reasonable amount of volume while you're really kicking your other stuff up a notch, or even 6-6.
Periodization. One of the basic things of basic fundamentals of programming.
I think that would be more beneficial for the average individual. I'm still working out at home with limited equipment, 21 years old, 200 pounds, 3 to 4 years experience. I get sore and reach failure, but I want to go. I think we already answered this question. So if you have any follow-up questions, just let me know. Best supplements when lean bulking.
Creatine, monohydrate, number one. Protein powder if you do not consume enough dietary protein through the day or you're just not hungry enough, because I'm assuming you're bulking, you're going to have increased calorie needs, and sometimes if you're eating a lot of whole foods, it can be very filling, and if you're like me and you don't have a big appetite, then protein powders can be a godsend sometimes. And just convenience too, or if you're busy. So protein powder, creatine, I would say betaine anhydrous, which is a derivative of choline, choline's a compound found in egg yolks and beef liver that supports cognitive function. Betaine assists the body with creatine production. It also acts as an osmolyte, so it enhances the body's ability to absorb and retain water inside the muscle cells. It's been shown in healthy resistance-trained athletes to improve lean mass, strength, and power. See, that's the top 3 for that. If I had to think of something else, let's go with something off the beaten path. Elevate ATP, which enhances ATP production in a different manner than creatine does in the body. So that can help you just bang out more reps during training. And it's also been shown to increase strength, power, and lean mass in healthy resistance trained subjects. And last but not least, I would say a sleep aid if you have trouble sleeping, because sleep is going to be where your body does the vast majority of its recovery, growth, repair, replenishment. And so if you're sleeping like shit, good luck trying to pack on muscle in an efficient manner.
Yeah, I would tell you in the periods where I gained the most muscle, my eating was strong and consistent, and my sleep was strong and consistent. So definitely don't rule those out. Pork meat, I'm not sure what you're referring to here, so I apologize. Fish oil for joint recovery.
Yeah, there's a decent amount of research showing that fish oils can support joint health and function. I think there are some other more prominent, just basically fish oil can help because it's an anti-inflammatory in the body. And if you've got a very out of whack omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, you're going to have more inflammation. So getting that 6-to-3 ratio a little bit closer together could help. And so that's where the anti-inflammatory effects of fish oil will come in. Some other good things to look for joint recovery: Cissus quadrangularis, turmeric, UC2 type 2 collagen, which is it's a 40 milligram dose of that. Paractin is another good ingredient, or whenever I release the joint formula in a few weeks, it'll have all of those ingredients in there. Fish oil is good. I think there are some other good ingredients as well, especially because a lot of the fish oils on the market are really, really crappy quality because they're either processed, stored, or manufactured poorly, which means the oils get oxidized, and so they become pro-inflammatory instead of anti-inflammatory.
Thanks, Robert. I wasn't sure if that was a dramatic pause, if you're continuing or not, so I just waited.
No, it was good. Yeah, I thought that was an awkward ending.
All right, here we go. We got a juicy nugget right here. Do you think the supplement industry needs more regulation? Robert and I both have dealt with the supplement industry as insiders for quite a long time. I would say probably our cumulative work with them has been over maybe 15 years. I don't know. But does it need more regulation? There are some really good companies out there. I'm just going to start with that. And, those companies tend to appear on bodybuilding.com, tigerfitness.com, muscleandstrength.com. And there's a wide range of quality even on those sites. But outside of those realms, you have a lot of crappy little amoeba things floating in the toilet bowl. And those are the ones that, probably you need to look at with the Rock's eyebrow, with a lot of skepticism, speculation, and analysis. Does it need more regulation? I don't like the government necessarily getting involved in hyper regulation when it comes to new ingredients, untested ingredients, or things like that. I think we need to kind of have some baseline assessment. But I don't know. If there's no science behind it, I'd be happy with saying there's no decent, have a panel saying there's no science behind it. So just know that, any claims are unproven. Robert, any thoughts on that?
I mean, people like to say the industry is unregulated. There are regulations. It's a matter of enforcement. Am I a fan of more regulation for the industry? No, I don't think it needs any more regulation. By that I mean I don't think more rules need to be written about the supplement industry. At the current state, yes, there are other shitty companies out there that are pushing sketchy things, but I think the industry needs to do a better job of policing itself and not rely on the federal government to do that in any country. I think that's you start getting into some very, very unsavory things with that. You're going to have kickbacks. Certain companies are going to be able to slant research one way to pay for their products to be released to a competitor's disadvantage. I don't like any of those possibilities. Plus, the FDA has done some really sketchy shit as far as banning certain ingredients. They haven't outright banned them, but they put them on this advisory list. And what happens with that is that as soon as an ingredient goes on the advisory list, places like Amazon, Shopify, all of these PayPal, these vendors stop allowing these ingredients to be sold on their platforms, which hurts supplement industry's businesses. Now, these advisory list ingredients, they don't have any science showing they're dangerous. All it is that there's not enough research on them. And so the government's taking that as, well, we don't know enough about this. So rather than us put money towards researching this ingredient, we're just going to say, we don't know enough about it. And, we're going to advise you to use this, which means everybody just stops selling it. So in that instance, I think that's some kind of underhand, sneaky shit I'm not a big fan of. I think the industry can do a better job of policing itself. And if the consumer holds the companies to a higher standard, better quality, greater transparency, I think that is a more fruitful outcome. If they stop spending money on these stupid research chemical pre-workouts that say we've got 120 milligrams of DMAA, 400 milligrams of DMHA, 600 milligrams of rehydrans, all this stuff. Spend money on the quality companies that are putting out research-backed products, and leave all like the bottom feeder BOGO companies to fend for themselves. And but yeah, I think that's where I kind of find on that self-regulation, not federal regulation.
The only end cap to that I would add is you can't legislate out stupidity, and
Right.
predators will always prey on ignorance, regardless of what industry you're in.
Yeah.
So, that's why we have spam boxes. People trying to get your money, people trying to contact you saying the IRS needs to talk to you. You can't legislate out stupidity. So we can continue to mount laws and laws and laws and laws and laws, but the predators will always find a smart way to attack. We need to be aware of that, so we have a good balance between regulation and overregulation, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
This gentleman is pretty strong. He's 16. He's only 5'9". Do I have a chance in strongman? Look, this is my advice. I get many people coming to me saying, big, hairy, ugly dude, one day I'm going to deadlift 800 pounds. And I'll say, right now you're deadlifting 350. Focus on 355 and focus on 360. And if you continue to focus on the next step, that's the mechanism that will take you as far as you can go. Do I know? I could never in a million years say who can compete at what. When I was 18, did I think I would be within 25 pounds of an all-time world record? No. I would have thought you're silly. I would have thought you're a fool. Did I think I'd be training for a 100-mile run? Heck, I'm considering, can I do 150 miles or 200 miles in 96 hours? So I don't know. But I do know in life that if you keenly focus on the next step and aggressively attack it, that is the key to success. Scott McKeerleen from Scotland. The students in Scotland are banned from pubs. That first sentence would really chafe the panties of many soccer moms in America. The students are banned from pubs because students are obviously all over 65 and have health issues. The pub shut down at 10 p.m. I forget the drinking age in Scotland, probably 18. I don't know. All right, Alex, other than 3-month commitment, is there any difference between your two training services? We're going to pop on a real quick screen share. And if any of you are interested in training, you can head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com. And there's a coaching tab. You see a 3-month commitment right here, which is $80 a month. That's $80 a month for 3 months. The only difference is $199 up front, no commitment. After the first month, it's 25% of this if you stay on every month for $49.75. So basically, I'm giving people two options: no commitment or 3-month commitment. It's about the same over time when it comes to cost. So it's just how comfortable you are dancing with the big, hairy, ugly dude. Doesn't matter to me. Is more fiber always better, Robert?
Not necessarily, no. I think the recommendations are 14 grams of fiber per 1,000 calories, according to the latest dietary guidelines. So if you're consuming 3,000 calories, around 42 grams of fiber, 2,000 calories a day, 28 grams of fiber, 2,500 grams a day, it's 30, whatever that is, 35 grams of fiber. So no, more fiber is not always better. Too much can lead to GI distress, can inhibit mineral absorption, can push things out of your digestive system too fast to where you will not be able to absorb all the minerals, micronutrients, and amino acids that you need to build a strong, healthy body. So yeah, 150 is a bit intense. That's probably not needed. I would say that's excessive. 50-ish is more than enough, assuming you're not eating, above 4,000 calories a day. So yeah.
I will tell you, and this is probably TMI, but I'm a big black rice eater, and anybody that eats black rice knows it's high fiber. And when you combine that with 4 nightly tomatoes, regarding GI stress, usually you have some point in your morning routine where you take second dump, and all it is tomato husks, skin, and black rice husks. So definitely can cause some GI. I wouldn't call it distress, maybe stress or unusual activity.
Yeah.
Xenomethane, dynamic or static stretching for martial arts. Robert, this is more your area.
We did a mixture of both during my time training, and I would recommend that. It's the same as I would think. This translates to any athletic activity. I think before you get into the actual meat and potatoes of your training session, do your dynamic stretches first to increase synovial fluid, blood flow, circulation, increase core temperature, just get the body opened up, loosened up, ready that. Then afterwards, when you're cooling down, then you can work into the static stretches after your muscles are good and lubed up and warmed up and all of that good stuff. So I think both. I feel that just me personally, dynamic stretches are a little bit more appropriate at the beginning of the session, and static would be a little bit more appropriate at the end of the thing. And that's the way we grew up doing it and the way I still do it.
Thanks, Robert. David, what's your opinion on letting the knees come forward while squatting? Look, over the years, there's been so much nonsense about not letting your knees travel forward over your toes. Ignore it. Ignored. It's fringe. It's wrong. It's been proven 10 times over by a zillion strength coaches that it's nonsense. If somebody's trying to go to war over you, you're at a powerlifting exam and the examiner's starting an argument with me. You're right. There's too many different body types. There's too many different ways of squatting. This dogmatic knee should not travel past toes. Kaj, who's been on here, Olympic lift expert. If that were the case, he would die. It's nonsense. It's utter crap. Are you familiar with this whole debate, Robert? Discussion?
Oh yeah, as far as letting the knees come forward or not, and how it's going to destroy your knees if they come even a little bit forward. Yeah.
There's things in strength training that really chap my my ass. The belief that your shins have to be on the bar when you pull, that pushes your weight for the average lifter. That pushes their weight almost too far forward, and you see a lot of hip rise. So I invariably, almost everybody I'm coaching in the deadlift, I have to back them off the bar because they've been told to go so deep, and it's counter. I don't know where some of these things are propagated. But they just continue to be propagated, just like nonsense muscle building.
Yeah.
Curious to know if you've heard of Arms Corleone. He claims to be all natural. Oh God. Let's check out Arms Corleone. Anybody that has to run around claiming they're natural, usually it makes me want to. Let me find Arms Corleone. Anybody that's ARMZ sounds like a douche cookie to me. He's got 472,000 followers. All right. We got Arms Corleone right here. Hold on, we'll get him up here. My dog's over here snoring away like a champ. This guy's full of shit. Mr. I'm all natural. Arms Corleone's full of shit. Okay. You do not get shoulders like that and arms like that being all natural. This guy's full of crap. I'd unfollow him. End of story. And you can tell him I said so. Don't come out and say you're all natural. The industry has too much crap like that. Follow somebody decent. I'd drop that guy and pretend you never heard his name. All right, Arnav, why is strength something you can improve forever when it is correlated with muscle gain? There are more variables with strength training. You can learn to work with your leverages. You can improve your tendon strength. A lot of strength training is like attack. It's mental. There's more variables. Muscle building, excuse me. Muscle building is guided primarily as a physiological limit. There's one guiding limiting factor in muscle building, right? A physiological limit. And that's everybody has one, whether you like it or not. But with strength training, you can dial in form. You can dial in form relative or technique relative to your leverages. You can strengthen your tendons. There's always a next rep you can find a way to grind out. So, very complex, but it's two different ball games. He says,
Yeah. Plus,
sorry, go ahead, Robert.
I was gonna say, how do you know he's not gaining muscle? I mean, we're assuming he's an advanced lifter. I mean, he's got to be if he's pulling 720. But I mean, by the time you're at that point, you can be gaining muscle, but the increases are going to be so imperceptibly small that you wouldn't be able to tell probably from a 6-month change in there. So he could still be gaining muscle. Just it's going to be so minute because he's already accumulated so much of his natural ability to put on muscle that you wouldn't notice it. But he could still technically be gaining muscle. You're just not going to be able to notice it, short of doing like a muscle biopsy on him or something.
I haven't gotten noticeably bigger since 1999. I have pictures from 1999, and that's pretty much when I was as big as much muscle as I have now. But I have gotten stronger. But because I can't perceive muscle gains, maybe I've gained 5%. There's still some, like, does anybody ever actually reach their physiological limit? I don't believe so. The rate of decay is about half a year. And if you just look at basic math, I think it's almost impossible for the average individual to cap their natural limit. But I think there's that little extra nudge, that half ounce or whatever, when you're deadlifting 690 could be the difference, with a half ounce of muscle between 690 and 720 deadlift. Is that fair, Robert?
Yeah, definitely.
The Capitalist King, how to deal with people giving unsolicited gym advice. Okay. As a angry 52-year-old man, over time, you must learn to tell people to go kick rocks. It's just grabbing your big, juicy testicles and having the confidence to tell people to fuck off. You don't owe them anything, right? And if somebody's trying to give you unsolicited advice in life, you can be kind, you can be patient, but you can, at the end of the day, you have the right to tell them to go kick rocks. And if they don't like it, they can fuck off. Because you do not owe them anything. You only owe them kindness and patience unless they push you beyond that. I've had people give me unsolicited advice, and you know what I say? Take a hike, bud. Just take a hike, or just walk off, or say thank you, have a nice day, go fuck yourself. Robert, anything to add with that?
Nope, you said exactly what I was thinking.
I tell you guys to be kind, and I always try to be kind, but when people push me, like almost to a level where they're disrespectful or assumptive, or I guess what we call mansplaining, I have a tendency to be a little bit more assertive and say, look, pal, go fuck off, get lost. But don't be like me. Don't be like the big, hairy, ugly dude. Just be patient and tell them to get lost. You don't owe anybody anything other than not killing them. Bobby Gilham. Hey, gentlemen, thanks for the great content and keep it up. Thank you for following. We're going to try to rock through these last few. Congrats today. Got 1,000 pounds on all big 3 lifts combined. Well done. And I'm wondering, is it a decent progress in 2.5 years? Yeah, it's 234. It's over 234. So that's pretty good. Are you pushing yourself enough? Well, I would say most people don't get to 234 after 2 years. So I think you're doing all right. Frank Fitness, in case the question was missed. Yep, we got that one. Sorry and respect. Thank you, sir. What's your opinion on Legion Athletic supplements? I do not know anything about them. Do you, Robert?
Yeah, I had their founder, CEO, Mike Matthews, on the podcast probably about a year ago now. Very quality company, high quality company. They make well-dosed products. The guy that formulates all of their things, Curtis Frank, used to be the head of research over at Examine.com, so they know what the hell they're doing over there. They use a quality manufacturer. Mike used to run the Muscle for Life website, which now it's become the Legion Athletics website. I think they just ported over everything to the Legion blog. Super good information, very high quality products. Personally, I'm not a fan of their pre-workout because they put such a high dose of theanine in there, and I don't think theanine belongs in a pre-workout. That's just my personal opinion. But yeah, overall, they make some very good quality products.
Robert, I'm gonna. I just happened to glance over at Arms Corleone for a second, so we're gonna dance with the devil here for a second. Arms Corleone. If you want a clinic on how not to deadlift, I would suggest you go over to Arms Corleone's page, and let's see if we. Oh my God, we're a little animated here. Watch out for you. Here we go. Watch hips up. Oh, lower back strain and hitch and bounce and hips. And,
there you go.
Thank you. You are today's lucky winner. All right. All right. What do we got here? Let's see. Well, guys, I'm out for dinner. Have a nice weekend. You too. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Last question for the day. You need both done now? Okay. Well, it's already been covered. All right, Robert, we are done. 10 minutes over, but we did good. I appreciate everybody following in, dealing with my bad humor and my bad sinuses. Sometimes when you're hammering away for 2 hours, you lose focus. Robert, appreciate you tuning in. As always, we're here every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. I encourage you guys to check out Robert's YouTube channel, The Supplement Engineer. He does a live every Wednesday. And I want you to go over there and subscribe right now, please, because one of the things I always tell people when they want to be successful in this realm is to stay consistent. And Robert always stays consistent, and he has good information. He's somebody you need to follow. So please check out his YouTube channel. Was this a Brie Larson fan live, or who's Brie Larson?
Captain Marvel, the girl that played Captain Marvel, the android-looking woman that really didn't emote anything.
All right. Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good weekend, Robert.
See you, Steve.
Bye now.